So we're at the IMN CFO COO Forum. We have Oren Klaber from Korn Ferry. Oren, thank you so much for joining me today for this interview at IMN. Tell us about yourself a little bit, what you do in the industry, and what are you focused on today?
Well, I'm an executive search consultant with Korn Ferry, focused on commercial real estate. I've been doing commercial real estate executive search for about 20 years. So very focused in investment management, in owner-operator developers, et cetera, across all functions within the industry.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So what brought you to IMN today?
Well, I really wanted to have a chance to connect with the CFOs and the COOs of the investment management, real estate investment. Over the last 18 months or so, the industry, the transactional part of the industry has really slowed dramatically.
Yes.
But the kind of the exciting part of the industry is how the COOs and the CFOs have been able to really look into their operational side of the business and improve margin and really squeeze the profitability out of their assets.
I love that. It's like the juice out of the lemon, right?
Exactly.
I love that. So what are some of those key trends that you're seeing? You talked about like them squeezing the juice out of the lemon and changing some of their operational aspects. Right. What are some key trends you saw today at IMN that CFOs and COOs are implementing in their firms?
Well, there were several. I mean, look, they're looking at ways to use data more effectively. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's kind of the key. That's one of the key components. And in doing that, they really have to understand it, all the different ways that data can be used to manipulate. So that was a really interesting program that I listened to. Obviously, they're also very focused on the financing side of the equation. So, how is capital being used? How is it changing? Access to capital, getting access to debt, et cetera, et cetera. So there were a lot of different components there that they're sharing with each other, which I thought was very helpful.
Yeah. So give me like a couple of insights you got from there in terms of financing and, finding the...
So one thing I thought was very interesting is that one of the panelists was talking about how over the last 18 months, he's been going out to the community banks and the regional banks, even though he knows that they've been troubled and have challenges, just to see if any of them might be interested in financing. In this case, he was a publicly traded REIT or a publicly traded company, whether they might be interested in doing some financing, and they did. So he was able to find a few pockets of these regionals who still wanted to put out. I mean, you mentioned up to $100 million. So
wow,
some big investment.
That's a big number. When you read the news about regional, it's not the same as what you're eventually like the person goes and gets the financing.
Exactly. So I thought that was a really interesting tactical suggestion for the CFOs.
Wow, that's really super interesting. Okay, so what brings you back? I'm assuming you've been to IMN before,
yes.
Right? What brings you back to IMN every time that you come back? Is it every year or every few times a year?
Yep.
What brings you back every time?
No, IMN is really the premier conference group for commercial real estate, in my opinion. They just do great. They put on excellent analysts. It attracts a very good kind of broad sector of the community. There's really no other real estate conference like it, or conference, program broadly like it.
Yeah, and shout out to Todd Rosenberg for running this. Yeah. Todd is amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. Okay, one last thing. What is a tip that you have for either first-time attendees or like people that are new to the industry if they're walking into IMN today?
Well, look, I think that to do as much pre-work as possible to try to reach out to those folks as much as you can. I mean, it's a little bit of a whirlwind because you've got so many people to try and touch, but as strategic as you can be up front, the better off you're going to be.
Amazing. Oren, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.